let's talk a little bit more about your business. So can you just share what your name is and what you actually do for clients?
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm 𝗦𝗿𝗲 I help clients make more money, specifically in the funding and credit repair niche. My company name is 𝗦𝗿𝗲 𝗬𝗏𝗲. All my stuff is like on my YouTube channel, and yeah, pretty much help funding guys and credit repair guys make more money using paid ads.
So what do you think it is that makes you better at it than most people?
I think what makes me better at it than most people is that I genuinely care. I do a lot of research in terms of like competitors and ads and everything else. But I live with the understanding that the more money I'm able to make my credit and funding guys, the more I end up getting paid. And what I kind of realized in the market, in the marketing agency, in this space, is that a lot of my competitors kind of just put them onto a campaign and hope for the best. I take more of a route of, hey, I'm going to work with this company, understand what's actually going on, build out a nice financial model, build out their own marketing brain so that the copy is layered and targeted to the actual sales calls that are successful. Ultimately, to build out a system, more so of a solution that's actually going to get them results rather than kind of just putting them on a campaign, shooting in the dark and hoping for the best. So a lot more hands-on, personal approach to their actual business.
Got it. So what do you think? Yeah. So what's the approach in terms of, like, can you walk me through kind of the process of how you take on a client, what the before looks like, what the onboarding and like the general process looks like to go from where they're at to where you're taking them?
First, so we have two different campaigns really, because credit repair, we run a different campaign than we run for funding, because credit repair, you're really targeting, general consumers. Sometimes you are targeting business owners that haven't gotten denied their funding, but generally, credit repair, you're targeting general consumers that want to increase or lower the interest rates on payments or get approved for their dream house. So that campaign is completely different than running a funding campaign. Funding campaign, you're targeting business owners, and business owners don't really have time to talk. Everything needs to be scheduled up. Everything needs to be in their calendar. So these two different campaigns that are running will be completely different than each other. So let's say I want to start somebody off in credit repair. First things first is, of course, you got to give them all the scripts based upon what we've seen to really work. We have a couple of really great scripts that we shoot over to them. Once we kind of have all the media for them, we run what we call a messenger ad campaign. And the entire purpose of this messenger ad campaign is quite literally just to create more qualified conversations in their DMs. And the reason why we use a messenger, whereas in funding we use more so of a call funnel, is because with messenger we see that oftentimes if they have a good brand, you can close deals through chat right away as soon as they come in. Sometimes you do need to bring them into a call, but we try to hit those low-hanging fruits and be able to close them through chat first. That's kind of why we hit messenger. And it also kind of comes off as more personal. So the general consumer trusts you a lot more when you're able to chat with them and then bring them into a console. It honestly just is easier close than to, fully bring them onto a console, kind of racing some resources. On the other end of the spectrum, we were running funding. Now, funding, these guys are, hey, I don't want to waste any time. I kind of already know what funding is. I already know what 0% interest is. So they don't really need to be informed too much, but they need to be able to set time, set a specific schedule, and they need to be able to be instantly, trusted, needs to be able to work with a company. Most of the time with funding, they go to a bank, they don't get enough funding that they need according to the credit score, and then maybe they just need to be able to have some better relationships with these banking managers is what I really found. So what that really entails is we schedule these people into a call, our closers then talk about all these, banking managers that they have with my clients, and then they're able to then get them funded. But the main difference between the two of these campaigns is that there's different personas. There's really two different approaches here. One is a general consumer that you're talking to this person like it's a buddy. You're kind of building trust there. The other one, it has to be scheduled in for like funding. It has to be scheduled in for a time Otherwise, that's not going to happen. So it's kind of it's two complete different approaches. One, consumers, hey, you got to be very, very personal with these guys. Oftentimes, you don't really want to be too professional. You want to just pretend to kind of relate with these people. You might even tell stories on how you recently gotten denied for your credit score, and to kind of relate with them to be able to sell those guys into credit pair. Whereas with funding, it's, hey, straight to the point, book a call with me. Let's get all the decision makers on the call. We're going to run through what's exactly on the credit report and then hook you up with the banking manager as soon as possible and get you funded. Logging on this call right then and right now. So it's kind of just two different approaches. One's very more professional. Another one on credit pair is, hey, you got to keep it very personal with these people and build the trust. So two different campaigns completely is what I find.
What's something you think most people get wrong in each of these specific niches?
Oh, I love this question. I get this so much. I really do. I get this a lot of consulting, and I get this whenever people schedule up calls with me. The average person that comes to me is probably doing already 10, 20 grand, and they want to hit 50K, 6 figures a month. And the issue is that they need a more consistent lead flow issue. And they already are running ads, but the problem with the ads that they're running right now is they're not good. They're getting leads in, but they're really cheap leads. Anybody can really get cheap leads in, but there's a difference between a lead and a paying client. So what ends up happening in a lot of these credit card companies and these funding guys, like, yo, I spend X amount every single day. I'm getting leads in under $1 or something like really, really cheap. But even though I'm getting all these leads, all these cheap leads looking good, I'm not really able to close any of them. And then what we kind of go through is you kind of take a look at the ad, see what's kind of going on. Oftentimes, it's not really in the targeting. It's actually what they say in the ad is bringing in, one of two people. It's bringing up people that are not motivated or are not financially capable of actually making a decision. They're not in the right position. So what we do is in the ads, I have two things. I have one, I call it a generalization, and I have other ones called a filtration. Oftentimes, and a filtration kind of is throwing more requirements to make that ad specifically go out to a certain type of person. Whereas a generalization is kind of broadening up that ad so it's able to target more and more general people. Is what I call it. Kind of keep things simple with my clients. And so then when I look at these people ads, not even through the targetings, I don't think that really makes too much of a difference. When we look at the ad in terms of the ad copy and the ad graphics or the video, Facebook's AI literally transcribes the video, takes it, and then takes that ad, puts it out to who will resonate to it because Facebook's a business. But what I find is that people first starting out their campaigns, it's too general. It really is just too general. And this is kind of what I tell people is that because it's too general, it's hitting people that just so happen to look at on the credit card side. They just so happen to look at Credit Karma. They're like, oh, this is just something I need to do. And they're not really motivated to actually fix their credit. They just so happen to look at Credit Karma and like, oh, yeah, I need to fix my credit. And then maybe a couple of ads pop up and then maybe they show some interest on there. But these guys aren't really motivated. And these guys aren't really showing that they have enough financial ability to be able to invest into this. The clients that I work with, my most successful clients, they charge a lot more high ticket. It's going to be like $1,000, sometimes even $3,000 packages. And for somebody that's just so happened to check Credit Karma and they know that, hey, I need to fix my credit, but they're not really motivated, they might not sell onto $1,000 plus package immediately. So rather than just targeting the people that just so happen to look through Credit Karma, we want to target people that, first, they have the money, and second, that are motivated. And the way that we do this is first with our AI GPT, our marketing brain. But what the marketing brain really, really tells us is to throw in these key characteristics of people that are motivated and that are wealthy. Wealthy side is like, hey, do you want to live in a gated community, private school? Do you have a garage, or do you have 2 cars or something like that? These keywords that are indirectly calling somebody wealthy, but it's the characteristics of wealthy people. Private school, wealthy people go to there, having a pool in your backyard or having a high-paying, a lead-paying job. These different characteristics are not directly saying, hey, you got to be making X amount of money because that's what kind of everybody else says, but it's specifically targeting people that are making more, that can afford, to have a pool, I have multiple cars, or can afford to take the kid to private school. These things are attracting wealthier people. And on the other side is the motivation side. You know, so things like, hey, have you recently gotten denied for business funding? Hey, do you need business funding to increase payroll? You short on payroll this week or something like that. Payroll is one of my favorite ones because payroll has got to be done every 2 weeks, and it has to be done. If you don't have the money, these people are so ultra motivated to make sure that they to get this money quick so that they can fix payroll so that they don't screw up their business. You know, so specific characteristics like this, we simply just add it to the copy or whatever they're doing right now, and you can quite literally see the night and day difference in the lead quality just by adding those, what I call those filtration characteristics onto those ads. That's what I've seen that makes these campaigns really successful. One more other thing too is the ecosystem. So first, you know, you got to start out with the traffic coming in. You got to make sure you're driving high quality traffic. And the second thing is you got to make sure that you have this ecosystem that really builds this trust. You know, because if you're running these ads, no matter what you do with the ads, if you bring in the highest quality billionaires that can afford this, that are super, super motivated, but if they bring them over to this page where they don't trust this page because maybe lack of content, maybe it's just that you don't have enough followers, or maybe your posts just look like shit, whatever it might be, you know, you gotta make sure that you have this ecosystem built around your business so that people trust it, you know, so that people don't go to this page and see, oh, this guy kind of treats it as a hobby. You know, you don't want to have that. You want to go to this page and it looks like, yo, this guy gets exceptional results. It almost looks as though this guy makes it's easy for him. And it's shown by his Instagram or Facebook because he gets this amazing results, but is still able to have this amazing life with his like family and hang out at the gym or have these vacations and do this luxurious lifestyle. But all of that on his Instagram and his Facebook, you know, shows that this person gets an amazing results and makes it as if it's easy for them. So building out that ecosystem on Instagram, making sure you have consistent content and just having a community on there, you know, ultimately makes those ads perform so much better. What I kind of tell people, and I kind of end off here, is that if you're running an ad that's an amazing ad, let's say this ad's it's like a multiplier almost, like a 3x multiplier or 6x multiplier. But if you have a digital resume, your Instagram, that's like a 0, it's not really that good, it's not performing, you know, a 3 or a 6 or anything times a 0 is still going to be a 0. You know, so you got to make sure you're having, you know, high quality traffic coming in, motivating wealthy people. And you got to make sure you have that ecosystem that backs it up and builds trust that people are willing to convert to.
What do you think causes people to make those mistakes?
I feel as though it's one of two things. One is honestly, it sounds almost crazy to say. One of them could be sometimes lack of responsibility. You know, a lot of people, they kind of come to the ad game hoping that they can just throw money at something and pray it's going to work. And then they kind of just like, oh, it's not working. And they kind of push it to the side a little bit. Maybe they allocate a little less of a budget. A lot of times they don't, but they kind of just push it to the side. It's like, oh, it's just like this bad fruit. I'm just going to put a Band-Aid over it for right now. And then they don't have the understanding to be able to know what's actually causing this to not convert. So maybe it's a lack of education. Sometimes it's lack of responsibility, not really caring too much. But ultimately, you know, it's I feel like it's a lack of education, not knowing that, hey, this is what's going to make your ad convert, you know, and then and being responsible to making sure that you're doing kind of the hard work. You know, nobody really wants to make content all the time. Everybody would absolutely love to just throw money at something and make it convert and just print you money. But that's not really the case most of the time. You know, you do have to be responsible on your own social media profile so that even if you do throw money into ads, you still got to be making content. You know, I myself, I got money in ads. I myself got content I'm posting at least, you know, 1 to 3 times a day. And I'm making sure that I do at least 30 conversations a day. You know, I'm running maybe $100, sometimes $200 a day in ads itself. And I'm still making sure that I'm conversing with 30 new people every single day. I make sure I practice what I preach. But I believe that the lack of responsibility to make something convert is really what holds a lot of people back. You know, because a lot of this information really is out there. there's a lot of YouTube videos that I make myself personally showing these things, or maybe you can even ask ChatGPT and hey, take the copy, throw into ChatGPT. Hey, ChatGPT, I'm getting low quality results. How can I increase the motivation or the wealth behind somebody buying by telling out this copy or something like that? It's quite literally just throwing into a ChatGPT and kind of fixing it. So I feel as though a lot of the times it's lack of responsibility of really making the choice to make something work. Like Lance said something really, really great to me once. There's like 3 levels of commitment. There's one, hey, I'm gonna pay and forget about it. Another one's like, hey, I'm gonna pay and I'm gonna do what you say. And then there's another one, which is my most successful clients, and I'm sure it's Lance's most successful clients as well too, is that hey, I'm gonna pay, I'm gonna do what you say, and I'm gonna make sure that this works. There's a reason why that every single time is our most successful clients, is because yes, these guys do what we say that they need to do, but they also they're responsible with their leads. They're making sure they're keeping track of lead quality. They're making sure that they're filming the ads that they need to film. They're making sure that they're telling me, in terms of the ad, hey, I think we need to drop this ad because it brought in this X result. Or hey, we receiving this common objection. Let's take this and put it into the marketing brain to build to better kill it out, so we don't have that objection anymore. So there's a lot of things that you really could do to optimize your ads to make it do better. And the answers are out there because you have ChatGPT, but it really does take that responsibility in your business to make it actually want it to convert. There really is such thing as, being afraid of success, I've seen. And it's almost crazy. I've seen that, maybe sometimes some people reach a certain level of success or something like that, and maybe they get a little comfortable. They're kind of afraid of taking it to the next level. And so they start slacking in other parts, thinking that they can kind of throw money to head or something like that. That's not really the case. You got to be responsible for your entire ecosystem that you build out.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. What's a cool result or story of a transformation that you helped the client get lately?
Oh my gosh, I love this one. I've called this one a couple of times. Is when people quit their 9-to-5s. Those are like my absolute favorite. I had 2 people in this past year quit their 9-to-5s. One was Mo, another one was like Eric. And it's just honestly, it's the coolest conversation. I'm like to Mo, like, listen, like she's a really, really cool chick. And I'm like, she's like one of my really good friends. I'm like, listen, you working in your 9-to-5 is really costing you money. You're losing out on sales because you can't take these sales calls anymore. You shouldn't be focusing on this 9-to-5 that's paying you. It's still paying her 6 figures a year. It's a good salary, 100K a year. For relatively, that's a good salary. But I'd had to be real with her. Hey, this is a great salary that you're doing, but you can add on another 0 if you want to full on your business. So I had this conversation with her, and she trusted me with it, and she took that leap of faith. So did Eric. They took this leap of faith, and they went full time in their business. They focused in on how to really scale their sales, hire more closers and stuff like that, build out a proper sales team. Now they're doing really, 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 really freaking well. Like I'm talking like 80 grand every single month, just because they're able to fully focus in on their business, not trying to fulfill someone else's dream, which is that other salary that kind of, sometimes it really does trap people, because you got this very, very comfortable rate. You could buy things that you want. You can live comfortably with a 6-figure a year salary, but you really are fulfilling someone else's dream. And if you were, anybody can do it, which is crazy. I myself, Mo, Lance, we're not really that much smarter than anybody else. Obviously, except for different, niches and stuff, but it really doesn't take too much extra smartness or intellectual ability or anything like that. Anybody can do it, but it takes that choice to be able to take that commitment and actually, do it. Like with Mo and Erica, they quit this 9-to-5. That's a scary thing to do. That's terrifying because you're making a 6-figure salary that's paying your bills. That's, she also has a girlfriend as well too that she's taking care of. Eric, I'm sure he has his girl he's taking care of as well too. I don't know too much about his story, but I know Mo is taking care of her. She's taking care of her wife / girlfriend. She has a couple of cats. She has a really, really nice house. She has 2 cars. Those are a lot of bills to pay. That stuff adds up, especially having a relationship. We all know how much that stuff adds up. But being able to walk away from a really, really nice paying job that doesn't require too much crazy amount of work, and then being able to put all the money into yourself, all the responsibility into yourself, for some people that can be really, really scary. But once you're able to do that and conquer that and really, really take responsibility in your business and go full force in your business and see those crazy, crazy results that you truly can get, that just blows our mind every single time. And honestly, that's, previously in my business, I had like a software business and it was just software. Now it's more so a results-based agency. And these are one of the main reasons why I switched to this, because previously in software, I just plug and play with them. I throw them into a software, I had some support roles, but it wasn't as fulfilling. Here I'm like able to tell people, hey, you'll be making more money if you quit your 9 to 5, if you just believe in yourself. That is so fulfilling. And to be able to see that actually come to fruition and see these people really making some serious money, life-changing money. Like this chick just bought a house in Jamaica. Like she was so happy about that. Now she's traveling around, she's doing her podcast things. She has a really good team of people closing. Same thing with Eric. He has a lot more freedom. He's able to travel a lot more, way more vacations. I see his stories. This dude's traveling all the freaking time. It's just a lot more freedom on their own time, and to be able to see that and be able to help people kind of achieve that, it's just so purposeful and it's so fulfilling. And I want to, honestly, this type of agency, I really do see myself doing like for the rest of my life. Maybe kind of pushing myself out of the business a little bit more, hiring specific like CMOs and client success managers to kind of help me out with a lot of this work. But I do really love working with businesses and watching them scale, and then just business owners getting more freedom themselves. I think that's just super, super cool. I was able to do that myself, because of my YouTube channel. I'm bringing these clients and helping business owners. I really did be able to live a life that I really, really love. My girl is hanging out with her sister right now on a farm, but I live like a block away from the beach. And whenever I'm working with clients, I'm honestly surprised I'm not at the smoothie shop right now talking to you right now. But that's like where I talk to most of my clients. I talk to most of my clients either smoking a cigar, having a smoothie right on the beach, or on this beach cafe over here that I have this beautiful view of the ocean. And I'm really talking to clients, and it's a really, really cool sense of freedom that I can work quite literally wherever I really wanted to. And so can my clients do the same exact thing, which is really, really cool.
Mm.
It's not even the money. It's just the freedom, honestly.
Right. So let me ask you this. If you could speak, someone watching this right now, if you could speak directly to that person, someone who's, your exact type of person that you're here to serve, that you're looking to help more of those types of people this year, but maybe, they're struggling, they're going through some of those certain challenges that you kind of described. Maybe they aren't sure whether it's possible for them. Maybe they're still working a job, or maybe they're just like struggling to scale it. What would you say to that person right now?
Someone that's struggling to scale their ads or scale their business, I would say one of two things: either find a mentor, or the second thing, one of the easiest ways is to quite literally ask ChatGPT. If you see that the lead quality or the ads are not really performing, take that ad, throw it into ChatGPT, and ask them why. If you see that maybe the content distribution that you're putting out isn't really getting the results that you want, ask ChatGPT, ask a mentor, ask somebody, try to figure it out. It really comes down to the reason why I see a business not really becoming successful is because the lack of care, the lack of responsibility. The answers are everywhere. The answers quite literally are everywhere, and anybody has access to it, whether it be through AI, whether it be finding a form and asking people, whether it be, commenting on a Facebook group or on a YouTube channel or something like that. But the answers are out there. One of the, I forgot who says this, But your problem is half solved once you can fully say it. And I truly believe that, you know, figure out exactly what's going on in your business, the main holdback and the choke point in your business. A lot of times we have the shiny object syndrome and you think you got to do all these different things, which is not the case. But for somebody that's kind of struggling in their business, is laser target exactly what's holding back your business, nothing else, exactly what it is. And then so that you can understand what the problem is. And throw it into ChatGPT or figure out exactly how to get that solution. But I feel like the first step really is defining what that problem is. You know, because if that's a lead quality issue, great. Now we know where to go. You know, we were just previously talking about it. If it's a client retention, great. Now we know that, hey, maybe you're doing something in terms of fulfillment that's not keeping these clients on as long as you want. You know, maybe it's, hey, maybe you're super unorganized and you're just dealing with different things and you're just losing track of everything. Well, great. Now you know you need better systems. But I feel as though most of lack of scale starts out with clear defining what the actual problem really is. If that makes sense.
Yeah, man.
know?
I appreciate that. Cool. Well, that's it. I appreciate getting to talk to you and chatting more today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I love doing these calls, man. I love being able to help people out as much as I can. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right.